Hey everyone, welcome to the second lecture of Government and Politics. In order to understand what words like liberty, freedom, and equality mean, we must first go back to a little document called the Declaration of Independence. The DOI. The DOI. Why do we want independence? What did they mean by all men are created equal? What does life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness look like?
I don't know what to say.
I know a lot of this may be US History Review, but we review it because this is the document people continue to quote today without realizing it's not actually law. It's more quoted than our actual law, the Constitution. So let's begin with why the colonists wanted independence. Imagine you're given a house, or told you can take away the house of someone who already lived there. Now you feel entitled to that property. But the person who told you to take that property now says it's really for them and puts their own friends there, takes your food, makes the rules. Oh, just forget the metaphor. Basically, American colonists were upset that Britain was doing to them what they did to indigenous people beforehand. The only difference was they felt entitled because they were white colonists with guns being told what to do by other white colonists with guns overseas. The colonists wanted to be free from British taxes without representation, free of British soldiers quartered in their houses, and they wanted to ensure whenever they had a problem that they would be given an independent judge and not one ordered by the king. Hence, they wanted independence. And there are two very important things to know about the Declaration of Independence. Number one, the Revolutionary War already started. To clear up confusion, this document is not what started a war with Britain. Due to the battles of Lexington and Concord, we were already fighting. Number two, during the war, our first Congress got together and basically said, whoops, we cannot win this war alone. So let's try to persuade France to help us out. After all, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. You ever not like someone, but then that someone doesn't like someone else you don't like, and then you two become friends? Same thing. So, the question was, how do we get France to help us out and defeat Britain? Any solutions? Enter the Declaration of Independence. While we see it as a bold stance for liberty, it was also a letter to get sympathy from France to help us out. Firm, yet gentle. And this declaration had three goals. Number one, to declare grievances against Britain's rule. Number two, present another possible way to govern besides a monarchy. And finally, number three, to declare independence. 5 men were given this job, among them being Benjamin Franklin and John Adams, and then like any group project, they all left it up to one person, Thomas Jefferson. And Jefferson, borrowing very heavily from John Locke, goes on to write one of the most widely celebrated breakup letters in the world today. So, what's in it? Let's break it down into 4 parts. First, the intro. It simply states how the 13 colonies have united to form their own nation, and that they think it's time to separate. Second, the social contract, aka the rights of man. This is the juicy part, the part we quote so much, the all men are created equal portion. And I'll get back to that in just a minute. Number 3, the complaints against King George III. This is the biggest portion, 27 complaints. And then finally, it ends with our Declaration of Independence. So let's end this video by looking at the most crucial part to know. It's important to know that the Declaration did not make this law, but they were ideals to aspire to. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government. So the 3 ideas that are reinforced by this document are: number 1, popular sovereignty. The right to govern your own nation or land is granted by consent of that nation or land's people. Governments are instituted among men deriving from the consent of the governed. Number 2, natural rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And number 3, a social contract. We give up certain individual freedoms for the security of all. So what did Jefferson mean by all men are created equal? What can that phrase mean when the United States was born in violence and oppression of indigenous people and then profited off the violence and oppression of black people brought here? Already our nation was born in a dark, hypocritical place. And I say that not holding him to the standards of our time, but Jefferson himself saw slavery as an evil while enslaving people. In 1852, Frederick Douglass, on the 4th of July, said, "What have I or those I represent to do with our national independence? Are the great principles of political freedom and of natural justice embodied in that Declaration of Independence extended to us?" This part should be held up to scrutiny, because the strong argument could be made that Jefferson did not mean all men, but white male property owners. And if that's the case, it should be a known stain on one of the most widely quoted ideals in our country. But I would also argue, while the contradiction is set as a seed in the ground that makes our nation, so is the hope and belief in change. People often believe that there are 3 rights in the Declaration of Independence, but there is a 4th, and the 4th is essential. This document says that our government must secure the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and if it fails to do so, then the people have the right to revolt against the government, to alter, abolish, to institute a new one. This is sovereignty. This is our social contract. If we believe our government doesn't serve us, we have the right to change it. So while the framers' intentions did not include everyone, while people were not equal then and continue to be unequal today, and while our ideas of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness continue to clash, the Declaration of Independence says you should do something. It embraces change, and that to me paves the way to every protest, every amendment, every opinion that has led us to you watching this video today. So the Declaration was signed by the Founding Fathers on July 2nd, to which John Adams wrote to his wife, "The 2nd day of July 1776 will be the most memorable in the history of America." But then they actually approve it on July 4th, to which we now celebrate the 4th of July, forever pissing off the ghost of John Adams. Thank you for watching. Godspeed.